No intro video. I don't need an intro video.
Fuck intro.
Hello, greetings. We're live. A bit late. Sorry, we're a bit late, but it's all Trevor's fault again.
100%.
And yet we keep inviting him back.
Yeah. But anyway.
Yeah, well.
Yeah.
Things.
Yeah.
I'm used to that extra half hour of prep time, you see.
Okay. Yeah, excuses.
Yeah, well. Fucking internet. Okay. Yes. Welcome to our second ever guitar chat, people who are watching or whatever have you, waiting for my fat ass to fucking show up and stick around for more than 5 minutes. Appreciate it. So, yeah. Let's start this off, Josh, with a good cracking fucking topic that we can carry on about and act like tools.
Yeah. Okay, so I'll pick anything then. Let's go with the first one that you sent over, because at first I wasn't actually sure what it meant. It's the Metallica Master of Puppets.
Oh yeah. Okay. I think I was the one that sent Trevor that one, so I'll kind of speak to that, I guess.
Okay.
So in the States, it's the RIAA is it's an acronym for like the Recording Institute of America, something or other. Basically, it tracks how commercially successful certain like songs and music in general is in the general market. So, and it's got like certain milestones, like you'll hear about like albums going like silver or like gold or platinum or that sort of thing. And it's based on like set milestones. So for Puppets to have gone double diamond, that means that it sold 20 million copies. So I mean, you got to think. So that album came out almost 50 years ago, and it's still relevant enough that people are continuing to buy it in whatever form it comes out in, whether it's like a remaster, the original copies, or and obviously like like Trevor can attest with the vinyl community, like trying to get like original pressings and stuff. It still has its own value. So it's just kind of mind-boggling to see that a band that, I mean, granted most people are used for a gateway, it's still having some relative degree of success with its older material. So like, again, like it's an almost 50-year-old album, and it's just like, what?
Yeah. To be honest with you, based on over the last like 10, 15 years or so, and with like the advent of Stranger Things and all of this, I'm surprised it didn't hit double diamond earlier, because what I keep being told is that it's their best record. I mean, that's here nor there. That's none of my business. I prefer Ride the Lightning. Now, Ride the Lightning is probably not going to hit double diamond for quite some time, I don't think. But I'm just shocked that it didn't hit that earlier, because of the fact that you have there's so many more Metallica fans like every time you turn around. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And seemingly, like Ryan and I were chit-chatting with beforehand, that guitar tone it's pretty nasty. It's pretty vile. It's got some pretty killer fucking, distorted tones. And of course, as always with James, and the clean tone on some things, like on the intro to, Welcome Home Sanitarium with the jazz chorus amplifier, the 212. I mean, that thing has been all over his guitar tone since pretty much the starting of whatever, right? Since the inception of the band. I'm a little not as completely up to date with like what amps they were using. I know they were using Mesas by that point, because I think James's Marshall was gone by about 84, 85. His hot rodded one that he used on Kill 'Em All.
Yeah, because that was right around Ride the Lightning was when they made the switch over to Boogie.
Yeah, exactly.
because exactly that. Because like you say, like they in between Kill 'Em All and Ride the Lightning, they had their gear trailer broken into, and all of their shit got stolen. So
Yeah.
also to your point, currently Ride the Lightning is 6 times platinum, so it's sold 6 million copies.
Yeah. Well, nobody liked that record. Fuck off. It's got like
Still
most
a
of their
great-
biggest hits on it, for Christ's sake.
Yes.
But at the same time, they were. Yeah, you said they were using Mark IIs.
I think they would have gone with the Mark. It would have been the Mark II C Plus. Yeah.
Yeah, the 2C Plus. You're right. And Jesus, that's when everything was. That's when everything went full blown in in fucking Sano with this whole mess of Boogie Train that everybody and their dog is seemingly had in the world of metal and chuggity chugs, as they say. But if memory serves me correct too, Hetfield was using a Jackson King V at that point.
I believe that was around the point that like both him and Kirk were using kind of more Jackson stuff for sure. And that was also right around Ride the Lightning was around the time that they started switching over to EMG as well.
Yes. That's when it took off and was all the rage, and it still is all the rage for like him and Zach Wilde and Kerry King and the like.
Yeah. It still amazes me that like how back then like that like people were like, wait, active pickups, what are that? And like that, because that was such a new technology that it just kind of everybody was hello cat. Yeah, but yeah, like they were just insane for that. And I was just looking at trying to find some of Hetfield's old rigs, and
Jesus.
he was I could be wrong, but I believe that he didn't start using the jazz chorus until right around Puppets. I don't think he was using it prior to that.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe I was wrong. I mean, that's not the first time. Josh, don't you have that entire book of Hetfield and all his guitars?
Yeah, I do. I've got the Messengers book, and it's got all of his guitars pretty much, and his gear, and he does talk about when he first got the Mesa Boogie amps, and it was around that time, sort of Ride the Lightning, Master of Puppets, and I think he was starting to use ESP guitars around that time as well. I think.
Yeah,
I know Kirk was for sure. Because I remember reading an interview in Guitar World for I think it was like the 20 or 30th anniversary of one of their albums, and he was saying that it was like right around 85, 86 that he started talking with ESP, and they were like, yeah, we can just build you whatever you want. So he was just like, okay, well, give me this, that, and the other thing. And they were like, cool, give us 6 months. And then 6 months later, he gets a guitar at his door.
and that was his Strat too, if memory serves me correct too. I think. Kirk,
Yeah, that was his HSS Strat.
Yeah. Of course, Josh is sitting here with his fucking big old fancy book, probably not too far away, and he's making you and I do mental gymnastics trying to remember shit.
It's actually, I've got it in the other room.
Oh, okay.
So I could go and grab it.
You could, but we'd be here sitting here all day talking about fucking Master of Puppets guitar tone, and I'm sure we might lose a few fucking watchers. I don't want to listen to this shit. I've heard it 1,000 times.
Completely nerding out.
I mean, fuck, that's the thing. I'm surprised I haven't decided to do like with my own channel and just gone into everybody's fucking guitar tone just to decipher it. But mind you, that means I'd have to be as good as Taylor Danley with fucking shit, and yeah, I'll let him do that shit.
Actually, and there you go. That's a good segue into one of the other topics that I remember we talked about. The whole relevancy of metal guitar content in its in its current state.
Mm-hmm.
Because actually, I think Josh and I watched the same video where it was Brad Hall kind of talking about it. I did
too this morning.
Yeah, and he's 100% correct. Where back in like the kind of late 2010s, almost into the early 2020s, like during COVID and everything, it just seems like everybody was just popping off. They were doing what they wanted to do. You had all kinds of crazy stuff. You had like the Cole Rowlands and the like even I would say like to an extent Brad Hall, quite a few other people like that were just like churning out this insane crazy content, like Samurai Guitarist, another guy. He's not metal by any stretch, but Rob Scallon, like all these guys were just
Jared
having.
Dines.
Yep, definitely the older Jared Dines material for sure. But yeah, it just seems like they would always have some sort of a creative thing to be doing, and whenever you went into your subscription list, it was always like, well, what did they put up this week? And there was a lot more relevancy in the space, and that was when you started seeing a lot of those guys getting like endorsement deals and a lot more like sponsored content. And now it just seems like if you've got a music channel, you can get a fucking endorsement deal or a spot thing or whatever. And I feel like it's just become part of the reason that it's in the current state of it that it's at is it's just oversaturated.
Oh, it's extremely oversaturated.
Like it's such a hard market to break into now that you're constantly having to find ways to constantly one up yourself or one up what everybody else is doing while still like catering to the algorithm. And that's why you see guys like Nick Nocturnal who like are like, dude, I've been doing this for 10 years. I'm fucking done. See you later, folks.
Yeah, let me go figure out my head and what I want to do with the rest of my life besides this thing. But but like Ryan, you and I had to have this conversation that like he just went all cringy by doing all these fucking reaction things, and even Brad mentioned that in his video. It's like, like, why are you guys doing reaction videos? Just stick to what you guys know. You know what I mean? Like, it just doesn't fucking, to me, it doesn't make any sense to sit there and just start doing all these reactions. Oh, fucking so-and-so. Like, I think part of the reason why I stopped watching Nick Nocturnal shit was he was literally just going so hard on this metalcore thing and deathcore thing. It's like, you know, there's other bits of stuff out there than just that, right?
Yeah.
And I think, although there was a few jokes in some of the comments on that video, like, hey, maybe the fucking Sleep Token review went too hard, and then some of the comments, kind of nailed him to the fucking post about it, and he's just like, oh, well, I guess everybody can't handle Sleep Token, so I'm out on that one. No, I'm not going down that fucking rabbit hole again. I already did a video on that in case anybody missed or watched it, for fuck's sakes.
Yep.
Again, enjoy it if you will.
But yeah, it's crazy though. Just like, and there's a lot. I find there's a lot of players in that whole sphere. Like even that, like you look at them, and it's like I think the only reason they're getting the recognition or time of day that they're getting is because they've got such insane content followings. I don't think there's a lot of necessary actual talent there in some cases. I mean, like Rob Scallon, yeah, dude's talented beyond belief. He plays more instruments than I can shake a stick at. Like Jared Dines, like simplistic, like I would say he's more comedian than musician myself. Not to discount his, musical wizardry, but I find with him, I think it's more like he's more recognized for the comedy side of things, almost like Stevie T was, where he was doing more musical comedy, but now, like you say, he's just stuck in that kind of cringy, like, I'm just going to react to this and do really stupid shit to make views. Like, I remember when Steve started, like, I was kind of in that original batch of, like, people that were following him, because I started seeing his, like, parody music content of, like, I'm wearing it under the sweater here, but, like, he did, like, a Black Veil Bride's parody song, and he was just, like, taking everything, he was taking the piss out of the band super hard. And like, it was all these like parody things. Like the song was actually called White Veil Grooms, which I thought was hilarious.
Oh, God.
But like, he's just like everything about that band that was like popular at the time, he was like satirizing the fuck out of it. But the music that he put behind it was in the style of the band, so it was accurate. And then it was just really funny because I think like he was hitting it really on the nose. So like I liked when he was doing that more music content, or even later on, like during the pandemic, he started doing like how to be like insert band here, right? And it was like he did like one for Green Day where it was just like, and he made this whole parody song out of it, and it was great. Or like how to be Ed Sheeran, and he like, it's like all this stupid shit. But I'm like, this is funny and I like it. But now that he's literally just like, I'm just gonna react to this stupid commercial that's got music in it. Now fuck off, get out of here.
Yeah, it's quite dumb. I mean, I think probably a lot of the guitar YouTubers too is that I think they're all starting to get, like as Brad said, they're all starting to get really burned out, and you're starting to notice that a lot of the content is not exactly being as up forth, and unless you're Danny Sapko, for Christ's sake, who's in the middle of, I think he's from Yorkshire, I think. Josh, I don't know, you probably don't follow him on YouTube, but he's actually pretty funny. He's a short little English dude who talks about the bass.
Everybody needs to pay the bass.
And he does short form. He does a lot of shorts, but he does do long form videos. But he's been the guy that called out this whole Giacomo Tura guy.
Oh, that
who's been
fucker.
all over Instagram stealing other guys' lines and playing it very badly.
Mm-hmm.
That's been a whole other thing.
Yeah. My favorite thing about that was that Rick Beato had him on his channel.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember Rick made the comment he was not good enough to be on my channel. So
yeah,
I'm like,
so what does that tell you?
Yeah, what's that tell you? Rick's like, don't get me wrong, I like Rick, but he's his own thing.
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty friggin' much. So what did you take from that whole video, Josh? Because you were the first one to mention it about the whole Bradley Hall thing, and just like, because you were telling me about it this morning before I went off to work. Nope. Yeah. Hey, Zach, how you doing, buddy?
Yeah, Zach hit the nail on the head. Even as content consumers, like, yeah, it's just because it's just the same recycled shit all the time.
Yeah.
Like you can, like, I don't care if somebody's a great player. You can, when you click on a video, you know what you're gonna get.
Yep.
And it's almost like, why waste the 7, 8 minutes, 10 minutes plus of my time to watch this?
Yeah. Exactly. Well, so what were you going to say, Josh?
Yeah, so I watched the video just out of curiosity, really. I was going to say I watched the video out of curiosity because it just because, to be honest, like I used to watch a lot of the guitar YouTube guys, a lot of the guys that you've mentioned. Like when I was around, my late teens, in that sort of late 2010s, and they kind of inspired me to make my own channel. I wanted my channel to kind of be not exactly the same as them, but I wanted to do guitar content like them, and obviously talk more wider around rock and metal music as well. But like over the last couple of years, I've definitely been like dropping out of all of those channels that I used to watch, mainly for that reason, because the content just got bland and I felt uninspired by what they were putting out. And so in a way, I could understand why people now are starting to say that like YouTube guitarists is dead. The concept of it is dead because no one really doing it. And I even like thought this, just this morning thinking about it, like I can't even remember the last time I saw like a guitar video on YouTube that came up on my algorithm. I actually cannot remember the last time, because it's mostly just other things, other music related stuff, like someone reacting to a song, or breaking down a song, or talking about a band or whatever, like not like the old guitar style content. It's just you know, it's just doesn't happen anymore.
Yeah.
And you know, I felt it was quite apt as well with when I watched that video. Was actually the day that I was gonna film a guitar cover myself for YouTube. And I don't know whether it got into my head or what, but I just could not do this cover. And I thought, you know what, I'm done. And yeah, there you go. I'm not gonna do covers on my channel anymore because not because of that, but it just kind of made me think, you know what, it's not worth the effort. So that's kind of maybe was playing in my mind a little bit about it, but I don't know. But yeah, that's kind of maybe the reason why I wanted to bring it up, I guess. But yeah, I think the whole like guitar YouTube thing is quite saturated, but also it's like, I don't know, I just feel like YouTube has kind of moved on from them people now.
Yeah. I mean, I'm going to kind of date myself a little bit here, but I remember like one of the first like original like guitar content like YouTube things was back in like the early like 2000s. They had that whole Canon Rock thing where somebody took Pachelbel's Canon in D and they like turned it into this really upbeat like kind of pop metal kind of thing. And I actually learned that arrangement. I remember learning for my music class in high school that we had to do a final performance. So that was what I did. I downloaded the backing track and I was just like, all right, time to learn this shit. And that, I mean, that's taking neoclassical metal to a whole new level, but you know. I remember that and like thinking like, oh, that's cool that somebody can like make videos like for, you know, guitar stuff, and then to see it kind of evolve through all of its different phases. I remember when like just the cover guys were popular. I remember when like the gear review stuff started becoming more prevalent, like when Ola Englund started doing like the amp demos and that kind of shit. And then like, you know, all of these different like, you know, pickup shootouts and like amp shootouts and like, you know, all this other stuff. I remember when it's cool to have seen like the trajectory and where it's gone. And now I think like, yeah, like you say, it's because there's not a whole lot of room for originality by building it off of somebody else's algorithm.
Yeah.
So so I kind of understand where you're coming from, Josh, where it's like, why am I going to put all this time and effort into learning somebody else's song to upload a video that I'm not going to make any money on, that is really just going to get lost in a sea of other 18 billion fucking videos that like, oh, I might get one new subscriber every 6 months.
Exactly.
You know? And it's, unless you've got some magnetic personality to pull into that's like, okay, you know, I can sit here and talk to a camera for 45 minutes and have you hanging on my every word, like 5 Watt World, for example, with his like little history content stuff on like guitar brands and amp brands. Like that stuff, like, see, that's where I think that everything's going now, is it's more into long form documentary style content as opposed to the instant gratification of, here's a 4-minute cover that took me 6 weeks to learn.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's quite fucking insane that so many guys are just going absolutely bananas with trying to make sure they get content out. And I know guys like that. I've got like there's guys that I talk to all the time. They're like, "Yeah, I got to put out a video. It's like, why? Don't oversaturate the market. Just like right-handed guitars, haha. Anyways, but it's because even Glenn Fricker mentioned it today on his video that I was watching earlier. Like, he's dealing with enough shit with his wife Julie being out when she had that stroke a couple of months ago. Hunter Aggie Fish, he's like, oh, I'm gonna get on a regularly scheduled program. Yeah, right. It's like, brother, we know you just had a friggin' kid and all that jazz. Just the one big thing is, and sort of on top of that, I guess, is when new guitars get released or new amps or new whatever, every fucking YouTuber that I'm subscribed to, bang, 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 a fucking review. I'm like, okay, A, how did you guys get these? How did you guys get all these products? Like before, it's like did the companies like message you or like months ago and say, hey, this is coming out. This is what it's all about. We're just going to send it. And then and everybody goes, oh, we just heard about this like yesterday. And then 15 to 20 different guys are on YouTube with a review of the new Kiesel Kyber. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
Fucking, what bother? And I don't know if it's a Kiesel saying, hey, you guys need to drop this now.
That's what it is usually.
It's like,
there's a couple of videos that I've seen. It was like in a Q&A. I think it might have been with Rabia.
yeah.
And he said about that because like he does a lot of that gear content or like, you know, plug-in content or whatever it is. And he said a lot of it is the reason you see that giant saturation is because it's in the contract that you get from the company that this is the day we're launching the product. This is the day your video needs to go live. And so that's why like guys like Ola are now saying like, I want to review this, but I will pay for it out of my own pocket so I can review it whenever the fuck I want. So that you're not getting like, it's not going to get lost in that slew of 18 billion fucking uploads.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Which to me makes no goddamn sense.
Yeah. But conversely, to counteract that point, I like seeing the same gear through the hands of different people. Because, you know, if like, we'll just use the three of us, for example, right? Like, if somebody, we'll just say somebody sent us an amp, like, I don't know, like a new Hughes and Kettner product that hit the market. And they're like, yeah, we want you three guys to fucking talk about it. I'm going to come at it from a point probably more from like a songwriting standpoint of like, what can I do with this in my current situation where I'm in like, you know, kind of a stoner, kind of a doom band with a lot of like, you know, more kind of modern influence. Trevor's probably going to look at it from a point of how can I make this sludgy as fuck? And then Josh is probably just going to be like, how versatile is this thing? What can I do with it? So, you know, right off the bat, you've got three different viewpoints that people can now pull from and kind of pull their own opinions. And like, different kind of idea, but like, me and my friend Zach used to run a craft beer blog together, focusing on like beer out of like, you know, different parts of the East Coast of Canada. And I always would say in our reviews that these are our opinions. Don't take what we say as gospel. If go out and try the thing yourself. Like the worst that's going to happen is like you find you really don't like it, you know? And the same thing goes with gear. Like I have my preferences. I know Trevor's got his preferences. I know Josh is going to have his preferences. And of course you two are going to complain about it because finding lefty shit is hard.
Plugs. Yeah. But you know what's
ever
insane? Like there's more left hand. Like Ryan mentioned this the other day, Josh, and I don't know if you've noticed this yourself, but there's way more lefty shit coming around than anything. Maybe people are finally listening to us bitch and complain about stuff.
I think
possibly,
Pieface
See,
I think Pieface
when I bitch, things happen.
There you go. But I think Pieface has an interesting question of, do you ever see a bad review where they're getting paid by a sponsor? Oh, fuck yes.
Glenn. The
so
hammer of truth.
Yeah.
Smashy.
Yeah.
Exactly. And the other thing too is that there's so much time where it feels like the content, you can tell when content is rushed.
Oh, yes.
And like, it doesn't matter if they're a great player. If you don't give somebody enough time to properly put something through its paces, like you're going to not get a full formed opinion. It's going to be entirely half baked. So
yeah,
it's like you really need to give people more advance notice, I find. Like, I don't know how far ahead people are sending out like guitars or basses or, you know, whatever for review. But it's like, give them more than a couple of weeks with it. Like, let them be like, hey, like, give me like a couple months. Like, send this out. Like, you know, if the product launches in June, give it to me back in fucking like, you know, April. So that I've got 2 solid months with it. And then I can say, okay, this is what it can do. This is how I've used it. Here's my 2 cents.
Yeah, exactly. because each player on YouTube, and even the current ones that are sitting here right now, we're all going to have different playing with it.
Mhm.
Like, because I'm pretty, based on any cover I've ever watched Josh do online, it seems like he's got a really sort of light touch with with his playing. For me, anytime I even fucking pick the thing up, I'm hammering on them fucking strings like it owes me a fucking steak dinner. And that's because of being a bass player for as long as I was, not having the ability to turn on an amp because I either lived in an apartment or in this fucking townhouse where, Jesus Christ, if I turn this little dickhead up, like, look where the fucking volume is sitting on this thing. Like, just barely at 1. And I almost turned my 9-year-old into a fucking deaf mute, for Christ's sake. Like, and that's the thing, because I've had to play so hard with plucking the bass strings, because I even watch like Andrew, basically, as his channel is on there, he and I play totally different. He's got a nice softer touch, but he makes everything is very pronounced. When he picks, it's everything, you can hear all the definition, all the note and everything. With me, all you hear is clickety clack, clickety clack, clickety clack, don don. Just sounds like absolute dog shit. Outside of that, it's one of these things where we're just fucking bombarded with it. But as you did say, Ryan, conversely, it's the whole thing, like, different players are going to have different play. And to me, that kind of makes sense. But I'm very picky and choosy with who I watch now. I'm subscribed to a whole shit ton of fucking guitar guys. But if it's Taylor Danley, Fluff, Hunter, and like a couple other dudes, like Kyle, Belligerent Bull.
Oh, like, yeah, Kyle Bull.
Those guys are all entertaining, and that's what keeps me coming back and watching it, because they do they make dumb faces and shit. And I'm like, okay. Or they'll use some sort of sound effects where it's like, yeah, okay, this is great. I can watch and listen to this and maybe argue with them in the contents. Yeah. Most of the time, it's never an argument.
There's entertainment value inherent to the actual informative value as well.
Yeah. And Zach here says, he goes, each player is also demoing and reviewing these products while also planning, recording, and editing a bunch of other videos as well. So that seems is probably the most correct statement out of anything that we've said. Everybody's putting everything out there so rushed, their brains are completely scattered. And they're like, what the fuck do? I have like 50 other videos, because Josh, you have to do this a bunch too, because you put out a bunch of content usually between not in the wintertime, which I don't blame you. Just edit, shoot, edit, live stream, haha, blah, blah, blah. Like here's the fucking Kiesel Kyber, da, 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 da. Here, that's it, I'm done. Edit, put it out. And then everybody goes, wait, what? None of that makes sense.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know,
it's a lot of effort.
Yeah.
But also, to loop back to your point about how everybody's going to have their own touch on the instrument too, like that was one of the first things that Fricker did, where it was like, he said, like, the whole sounds in the hands argument. And I 100% disagree. And not disagree. I agree with the point he made, which is that the sound is in the gear, the dynamic and the touch is in the hands. So yes, you and I are going to sound different because I'm attacking the instrument in a way that's different than you. And that's going to lead to inherent, pros and cons. Yep. I would say I'm probably in the middle of the two of you then. If you're saying that Josh is on the super light and you're super ham-fisted, I would.
Josh, can you confirm if I'm a bullshitter or not? Shut up! Don't say yes.
No, yeah, I think you're right. I think you're right, because I don't necessarily pick. I don't necessarily pick with. So this is one of my picks. I don't necessarily pick like that. I tend to normally pick like that with the actual, round edge. Don't know why, but I've always found that. I've always found that the way for me to pick. So that's probably why I've got a lighter thing, because it hits the strings different. But it's always worked for me, so I've always done it.
Interesting. So that was like a Jazz. That was like a Jazz 3, yeah.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's Dunlop Jazz.
That won't focus.
I know nothing focuses. Yeah, Daddario 1.4.
Okay.
Or 1.14. Yeah.
Yeah.
The Nilo Pro.
Yeah. See, I don't have one right handy, but
what?
My guitars are on the other side of the room. I'm too lazy to go get them. But
fucking pockets, asshole.
But anyway, yeah, I've got. I use the Ernie Ball 1.14.
Oh yes, those are pretty. Yeah, those are. See, I don't mind the Ernie Ball ones, but the big issue I have is that they're too fucking big nowadays. And I know that may sound stupid, but what I'm because I noticed as I did this last week, I was just sitting there. I'm like, I'm gonna fucking try to work on this fucking alternate picking and try to get my hand better. And I was like, I couldn't get fuck all done with that 88 pick from the Ernie Ball ones because I'm like, oh, 88 fucking Hetfield, haha, no way. Unless actually, you have his fucking hands, you're not going to be anywhere near. So sure
Hetfield's
enough,
using thicker picks now.
Is he?
Yeah.
Fuck is he using?
I think last I saw, he's using either a 1.14 or something slightly heavier because that's what his signature white fangs are.
Fuck's sakes. He gets older and everything gets beefy. Fucking everybody else gets old and they all use light shit. Fucking Kirk Winstein from Crowbar is using fucking 60s.
What?
But surprising, yeah. But well, he's had neck problems and fucking numbness in his hands.
Yeah, that'll do.
So I was like, fuck it, I'll just use this 1.14. And surprisingly, I actually got a better. Like I had better control with it, surprisingly, and my pick went a little bit lighter. You know what I mean? Like I wasn't going. But
so I was right.
That up.
So Hetfield is using a 1.14 now for his signature white fangs. His previous signature, the black fangs, were a 0.94.
Okay, so he's beefed up then from the 88s.
Yeah, significantly.
Weird.
But, yeah, I've just found, for at least speaking for myself, I tend to prefer the bigger, thicker picks, just because I've got massive hands too, so that doesn't help. But like I've tried some of those smaller like jazz style picks, and no. I'm just the way that I hold a pick, like I end up like scraping my fingers off the strings too much, and it's just more of a like I'm just gonna bleed all over the place. I'm like, I'd rather not have my DNA in my guitar. Unless I'm Steve Vai or something, and they want to pull like 12 vials of my blood and mix it into a paint batch or something. But
Yeah, like Gary Holt did that too.
Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot about Holt doing that.
Well, that's scary.
Yeah.
Oh, but Josh, what was that comment that you brought up from Andrew? Yeah.
Oh, about the.
Yeah, I make videos few and far between. That's right. I won't let the algorithm into my life. If someone watches to, I presume he means to watch. I make a video only if I feel like, yeah, that makes sense. My videos are so goddamn sporadic. It's not even funny. Like it's like, oh, I feel like turning the camera on. Oh, here, let me bitch about fucking Sleep Token. Views go through the roof magically. How that works. 1 mil on the bass and 60 on the guitar. Yeah, that makes sense because again, I don't find anytime I've watched Andrew play like he's not fucking reefing on the goddamn thing, which is kind of nice. Jumping to say metal nuts, we're all good. We sure are, Gord. Yeah, you know what I mean. Yeah, this whole tone in the hands thing, I actually had to laugh because I was watching a little short from when Jerry Cantrell was on Beato, funny enough.
Mm-hmm.
And when Eddie Van Halen was when they were opening for Eddie and the boys. And he's like, yeah, he goes, it was supposed to be our scheduled sound check time, and Eddie's up there just got my gear cranked, and he's sitting there shredding all over it. And he still sounds like Eddie. He goes, and when I plugged into Eddie's gear, I still sounded like me. He's like, so, the tone is kind of here. He's like, obviously the rest of the gear does matter. He's like, but I'm like, to a point, but yeah,
Mhm.
you know.
Yeah, definitely the I think that Glenn's point of when you eliminate a lot of the gear and it's like, okay, everybody's using the exact same shit, the only difference is the player. You definitely, like you said, you notice there's more subtlety or more like kind of inherent control of the instrument
Yeah.
than others. But again, now conversely, like to kind of counteract that, like, yeah, if I put if I mean, granted, of course, we'll say just for this hypothetical experiment that everybody is the same dexterity here.
Right.
But like if the three of us all played it, a guitar it may feel more comfortable for one of us than other, and because of that, we're going to play differently.
Yeah.
So, I think that to a degree, like the whole sound is in the hands thing is definitely contributing. But there's also an element of, okay, well, what are you comfortable with?
Yeah.
Like I
A
know,
mindset.
like with you too. Like I know where you've got so many issues with your wrists and stuff from working in the warehouse that like you tend to kind of go with the lightest strings you can get away with that'll still give you proper tension.
Yeah.
So, like for you, like a set of tens and E might sound or might be a little too much for you to handle, whereas for me that's comfortable.
Actually, it's funny because I actually had a set of 10s, and then I also had, well, when my Jackson showed up, it was I had 9s on it. And I'm like, ugh, the fuck you want me to do with these goddamn things? Now,
Right,
mind you,
rubber
when I
bands.
played a few chords, it was okay. My wrists only get real bad when I've been doing a lot of like a lot of heavy lifting. When I'm not doing a whole lot of heavy lifting of like totes and stuff, I'm usually pretty good. Yeah, loot. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the Young Brothers are a whole other fucking level of anything. Malcolm using 12 to 56s and fucking E flat for Christ's sake, because dude's this fucking big and he's got hands. His wrists are fucking no bigger than that for crying out loud, and he's making us all look bad. Yeah, like I mean, I've used 10s in E standard, and that's okay, but I've used 11 to 48s in E standard. That was not smart. I had to quickly put it down to E flat where it was more comfortable, but it sounded fine. But I find the big thing is I mean, I've got beefcakes on now, as I call them, the Ernie Ball beefies, and they're good. I'm getting too much bending going on, like it still seems quite loose to me, and I want to put a 56 on there just to kind of offset it a little bit. But the problem is I don't want to have to sit here and file out a nut, and I don't want to see if I may just have to get a 56 single string and then see if I can fucking put it on without any issues.
Yeah, I mean, I know you and I have talked about that before, where
Many times.
I think that really, at least, I mean, like again, I'm down in D standard drop C, but I find that for me, the 11 to 54 works on certain scales. But other scales, not so much. And like for my, like I have one guitar that's in a 24 3/4 scale, and the 11 to 54 just exactly it feels way too loose. But at the same time, I don't want to go to a set of full on like not even slinkies and do the 12 to 56 thing because I feel like that's just going to be overkill. So really, I think they need to do that like hybrid set where it's like you've got like the bottoms from the beefies, but then the tops from the not even.
Well, because the funny thing is like I think Dario actually has a set called it's 11 to 56 that is on their website, and you can get it's pretty much like almost a mix of the two. And I'm pretty sure I could have swore I thought that Ernie Ball did that as well, but I'd have to go back and relook through again because
I think the closest they came to that was the Burley Slinky, but that was like an 11 to 48.
52.
Or 11 to 52. Yeah, that's right. So they haven't done anything with a 56 on the bottom except for the not even slinky.
Yeah. Which is kind of a pain in the ass because I mean, now Josh, I know you have a couple different things. Like you have a single cut, and you do have like an Ibanez. So you have basically you have both. You have the both worlds. Ryan has a couple of PRS, which are in the middle of the two, and I mostly have just the Fender scale as of right now. And at some point, I'd like to try and do something a little bit different.
Mm-hmm.
What do you tend to mostly use for your gauge of strings on either or do you use the same for all of your guitars?
I don't use the same for all of my guitars because I've got a guitar in drop C, and for that I use a hybrid set. Like I think it's the one that you were saying about because mine's the bottom strings are quite slinky. They're like I think it's a 10 to 52 set I've got.
Okay, yeah.
So you've got the real top heavy strings, and then the bottom ones are a bit more flexible, so they're a bit easier for the leads. I think it's 10 to 52, but all of my other guitars, actually, I think apart from my acoustic guitar, I think the acoustic guitar's got 10 gauge strings, I think. But my other guitars that I've got in standard or drop D, I use 9 gauge strings because I like the. I've always got on better with the strings being a little bit looser.
Makes sense to me.
Bit more, you do a bit more with them. So I've always got on with 9 gauge strings. So yeah, pretty much. Even my drop D guitar has got 9 gauge strings on it.
Yeah.
See, I can't I've never been able to do 9s. I think probably because I spent the first 4 or 5 years of my guitar playing on an acoustic with relatively thick strings. When I went to electric, 9s I kind of like what Trevor was talking about, where you feel like you're kind of pulling stuff out of tune.
Yeah.
That's exactly what was happening with 9s. I was just constantly fighting to keep my guitar in tune because I would tune it on the tuner and it would be dead on. But then as soon as I started playing chords, because of all the strength that I developed in my fret hand from playing the acoustic, I was just driving stuff out of key.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, so might want to look at updating them. So I mean, 10s is the bare minimum for me. If I'm in standard, I'm not going anything lower than that.
Yeah.
Ideally, I think that I really should be playing 11s. Just that's kind of where I'm comfortable. But I mean, I've got I'm borrowing a guitar from my bass player for a couple of covers we're going to be doing this summer. It's like playing Jello.
Because he's a fucking lunatic, man. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
He's
but
a lunatic.
Yeah, with the Gibson scale that I'm borrowing from Bill, I've got it in E flat, and I've got a set of 11 to 54s on it, and I'll be damned if that isn't the best playing E flat guitar that I've ever had. So
you told me that, and I literally sat there and was like, "The fuck is he doing? The neck's gonna pop off this motherfucker."
Believe it or not, it's absolutely flawless. I would not have expected it. I put on the strings, I let it sit, I've checked the intonation. It's dead on intonation wise. The action is great. It's holding tune, which is surprising for a Gibson style. But
we'll get to that.
Yeah. But it's crazy. And I didn't expect it to work as well as it did. But
again, it's like I mentioned earlier, Malcolm with the 12 to 56s.
Right.
In E flat.
Yeah. I mean, Stevie Ray Vaughan, 13s in E flat. What the fuck?
Tony Iommi, 8s in fucking C sharp standard.
Or he was using 9s for C sharp.
No, he's using 8s.
Is he?
Yeah, look at his fucking signature set.
I could be wrong, but let me have a look here.
Can you imagine, Josh, fucking 8s? But then again, we're not all like fucking your fellow countrymen there fucking using an 80 on his Jackson, Mr. Lee Malia.
Oh my God, what a guy.
Did you see that thing? Okay,
here we go. So, from the Labella site where Tony has his signature strings, for E flat, he's using 2 8s, an 11, an 18, 24 wound, and a 32 wound. So his low E string is a 32.
That's E flat. Whoops.
Yeah. And then for his C sharp, it's 9, 10, 12, all plain, 20 wound, 32 wound, 42 wound.
What a mental weirdo.
But I mean, the dude's got like 2 fingers to work with, so, and he can still outplay all of us.
He's got nubs on there now, okay? Imagine Tony coming out with like a fucking 12 to 56 gauge string. Look at me hit chords. Hits a whole chord. He goes, I've got more wrist in me now. Imagine.
Oh my goodness.
Fucking everybody just
insane.
sell your gear and pack up. We're just going to let Tony do
Yep.
all the work until he ships, till he does the thing I hope he never does. I hope they just preserve him and he stays. Yeah. Anyways.
Yep.
Fucking. Did you? Yeah, Josh. Did you see that? That Lee Malia from fucking Bring Me the Horizon and that new Jackson he's got, that Surfcaster.
Oh, that looks so cool.
If you have, Josh, if you have your, if you can, you should fucking Google that thing and look at it. It looks so cool, but his thickest string's an 80.
Okay.
I'm like, what?
Oh, actually, I'll have a look.
Yeah.
Because
because
I
I'll
sat
have a look. What did you say it was?
Lee Malia. Yeah, I can't remember. I think it's just like a Jackson Surfcaster. It's a Lee Malia.
It's called the LM87.
Yeah.
It's actually surprisingly affordable too. I was really surprised when I saw the price tag on it.
Because if I watched that fucking Anderton's video that he did, and he's like, yeah, I want to make it like very affordable. It's like $1,300. I'm like, okay.
Yeah. For a signature model, that's actually pretty attainable for a lot of people.
Well, look at the fretboard. The fretboard's an Amaranth. I'm like, what? That's like base Jackson horse shit fucking.
It looks like a jazz master to me.
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah, it's I really like. I sincerely hope that they give that one to you guys as a lefty. I think that would be cool.
What, Josh?
Oh, I like the neck. Neck looks nice, but it's kind of got that Jazzmaster shape.
Yeah,
but yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting shape for Jackson.
Yeah, and I'm kind of like, because he mentioned like when he was talking to Lee Anderton that he's like I kind of like these old sort of, dad rock guitar looking shapes, and I'm like, the headstock is odd, but I'm here for it because I think it's like, okay, it's something that Jackson has only ever done that I know of to my memory with one other dude, and that was Rob Caggiano when he was with Anthrax and Volbeat.
Yeah, the Shadowcaster. That was cool.
But that
cool
fucking
gauge.
That 80 gauge, man. No, I'm good.
Yep.
That might shatter my fingers into pieces. Riffs. But see, like, I've been toying with the idea, and I know I've mentioned this to Ryan before. Josh, I know we haven't really gotten too deep into these kind of conversations. I've been toying with the idea of going to a baritone. Just because it's already tuned to B standard. And currently the Jackson that I have right now is in C sharp, or is it C sharp? It's in C standard with 11 to 54. So like I say, it's good, but I really sort of want to get into that heavier tension with these bigger, fatter fucking strings. Because again, it must be, it's just the bass in me, I swear.
Yeah. I was gonna say, does PRS still make the 27.7?
Not according to their website.
I was gonna say, because that would have been perfect.
It would have been. It would have been right smack dab in the middle of all this of the two different scales, and then fucking that would have been fun.
I know you were just shitting on them, but I know
What? That was not.
Sleep Token looks like they might be getting some signature gear with Jackson. And one of the things that they had was a 30-inch single cut baritone.
Yeah.
With an Evertune.
Yeah, they're just stealing from Gretsch,
Oh yeah.
I mean, yeah. Anyways.
But I mean, it's all Fender Music Incorporated, right? So.
Too bad Fender couldn't dig their fucking head out of their ass and actually make something that was worthwhile, huh?
Well, To a degree, yeah. Like I think that's why they've got so many of those like more modern brands, because it lets them dabble into more experimental ideas without like totally fucking with, the tried and true quote unquote formula. But again, it's the same thing with Gibson, right? Like they anytime they try and do something innovative in the market, like all the old dad rockers just kind of rear their head and they're like, but that's not a Les Paul, that's not an SG. It's just like, well, you know what? Hate to break it to you, bud, but the 60s are like, 60 years ago. Like maybe you need to update some stuff,
Right.
Maybe
Perfect segue
right
into
like
one of the big topics that I had put up was, are Gibson and Fender still relevant, or are they still, I can't say relevant because are they as important to guitars like ESP or Schecter or Jackson or fucking Gretsch or Charvel or PRS or all these crazy ass brands? Like, are they as important as they have been for years outside of the purists?
outside of the purists? Absolutely fuck no. Being the last time Fender did anything innovative was like, as far as I'm concerned, same thing with Gibson, was like in the 70s and 80s when they were actually like having to compete with all of those super shredder guitars, and like you saw like the Jacksons and the Charvels and the whatever, like, because that was what was in vogue at the time, right? And like trying to find their ways around it, like it's ridiculous. Like, you just see how many times are they just reissuing a fucking 1959 Les Paul? How many times are they fucking just reissuing like the 84 Explorers? Like, they're not doing anything truly new anymore. Even like the signatures that are coming out or whatever, it's all just like, oh, this is like my favorite Strat. I just want to rebrand it and put my name on the headstock and charge people an extra $4,000 for it. Like, no, like the companies that are like actually trying to push boundaries, like to a certain degree. I mean, Ibanez is kind of guilty for it too. They've kind of got their own, you know, mock models or whatever. But like you see stuff like Ibanez will push it, Schecter, ESP. If I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure ESP was the first company to actually start adopting Fishman as stock hardware.
ESP?
Yeah.
Yes. And now everybody and their dog's doing it, because it's like Ryan and I have talked before, Josh. It's like fucking, they're the new EMG pickup. Yep. Ryan lovingly calls them the Shitmans, which, and I get that.
Well, and like for context on that, I've had experience with them. I'm not sure if I know I told Trevor this story. I don't think I've told you, Josh, but so it was late 22. Bill and I had gone to Moncton to pick up some new recording gear for the studio. We bought an Axifex off of a buddy of ours, and when we were killing time waiting for Buddy to show up, we were just dicking around in the local Long and McQuaid, and our music store for those who are uninitiated. Anyway, and they had just released the Epiphone Jerry Cantrell Prophecy Les Paul. So the big 24 fret had the Fishmans, looked absolutely killer. So I went over and I tried it and played a couple of chords on it through the exact amp that I have. Tried it through a Black Spirit by Hughes and Kettner, and I was like, "That's really cool." I immediately got on the phone with my wife and I was like, "Am I allowed to have a new toy?" And she was like, "Okay, fine." She knows that the music thing is my thing, so she was like, "All right, I'll roll with it." But anyway, so I had that guitar for 6 months. I had it from October until like April or March, in that general ballpark. Right around March, the guitar, when I was not being played, started having uncontrollable feedback on any pickup setting. Didn't matter if it was a neck, bridge, middle, clean channel, overdrive, whatever. It would just constantly have this insane, low, woofy sounding feedback.
Mm-hmm.
And I sent a video of it to Trevor at one point, and I was like, so this is what this guitar is doing now. and I'm like, get this the fuck out of here. So
Yeah.
I had taken it back to the store 3 or 4 times for them to look at it and be like, I don't know why it's doing this. What's up? And they were like, well, the only thing we can determine is that it's probably a bad piece of circuit board in the pickup. And I'm just like, and then they're like, yeah, but the thing is we'd have to send this back to the manufacturer. You'd be without the guitar for like X number of months. I was like, if it's that much of a pain in the ass to get it, I was like, can you just give me a different set of pickups? And they were like, no, it has to, because it's the warranty, it has to be an exact thing from the OEM manufacturer.
Yeah.
And I was like, then in that case, take the guitar, give me my money back. I'm buying something else. And I went a couple of months later to get a different guitar that I found. Actually, Trevor pointed it out to me. It was a Schecter Sun Valley Shredder that came up for sale in St. John. And so I drove down to get that. And I was talking with one of the guys at the store, and I had mentioned about how I was having some problems with the Fishmans. And he says, hold on a second. And he called one of the other sales reps over, and he says, tell me what you just told him. Or tell him what you just told me, I mean.
Yeah.
And told him the exact same story, and Buddy just looks at me, and you could see the color just drain from this guy's face. And he was like, I've been dealing with that exact same problem. It started last week.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, and I've heard the same thing from other people, like Justin Gauguin from Elevate the Virus. He was saying there's a lot of research and shit that Fishman is just not good on their R&D.
Yeah.
They are just happy to throw shit out into the market, and if it works, it works. If you're a signature artist or if you're endorsing their product, they'll take care of you. But it's like, as soon as you are just a Joe Blow off the street, you have to jump through, hoop A, hoop B, hoop C, and then, oh, by the way, you got to go back to hoop A again. And it was their customer service is absolute dog shit. So from that point on, as far as I'm concerned, if a guitar's got a Fishman in it, that's the first thing that's got to go.
Yeah. Which makes all the sense to me. I mean, it's become the EMG of the guitar world.
Mm-hmm.
Except EMG still holds up to what they've been doing since the 80s.
For real.
And I get the whole idea of not having an actual winded pickup and having a circuit board. At the same time, I don't. Because to me, it almost makes no fucking sense. Like, how are you going to how is that going to maintain things for as long as it does? And like I said, I know Zach, who's watching. I hope he's still watching anyways.
He just commented a minute ago.
I know he had an issue with a scratch on his pickup. Yep. Thanks.
Oh, he just said it. Yeah.
I can't tell if he's tapping into my brain with the fucking force or not. Yeah, I bought a guitar with the Fishmans in it. Neck pickup was scratched. Alan buffed it a little bit and told me that they replaced. They refused to do any more for me. Never again. Yeah, that's still quite wild. I still don't understand why they won't just fucking change that pickup, because he bought a Prophecy V, and don't get me wrong, that guitar's sick as balls. Which is going to get to another point we'll have here in a little bit. The unfortunate thing is, well, that's exciting. How the fuck am I not connected to the fucking Wi-Fi here?
I don't know, buddy. On that note, beer break.
Exactly. Well, that's strange. So yeah, like, do you still find that they're relevant, Josh, in any way, shape, or form?
Probably not really. I think because nowadays there are so many like copies of those guitars. I've got a Yamaha Pacifica in my bedroom, which is essentially a Strat, but it's not, because it hasn't got the Fender name on it. But I mean, I've never played a Fender, but to me, my Yamaha Pacifica is probably about as good as a Fender, and I paid £200 for that. Compared with when you buy a Fender for the name, it's You know, unless it's one of the Mexican ones. I mean, then it's at least triple the amount of money. And the same with like Gibson Les Pauls. I've got an ESP with the Les Paul shape. You know, it cost me like I don't know £300 odd, and I've got this one.
Son of a bitch.
I've got this, which is looking at that, you'd think it's a Les Paul, but it's not. It's some random knockoff, but it's about as close as I'm probably going to get to a Les Paul. It's certainly got the weight of a Les Paul. It is pretty heavy, this guitar. And to be honest, again, I've never played a proper Les Paul, but I don't think there would probably be a lot of difference between this and a Les Paul. Maybe an Epiphone, to be fair, might be closer to a Les Paul than this, but that's, to be honest, that would be what I would say on that. Is like there's so many different alternatives nowadays. You don't necessarily need to go out and buy a Gibson for over $1,000, and the same with a Fender. You don't need.
Like, even on that, like, a Gibson over $1,000. Yeah, okay. Dude, like, a fucking Epiphone nowadays, at least in Canada, like, some of the high-end Epiphone shit's going for, like, $1,500, $2,000. That Les Paul Prophecy I got came with a hard shell case, which is nice, but again, not worth that big of a fucking price increase. I paid $2,200 for it.
So that's 22. That's about 1,100 pounds over for you. Oh, it's 1,100 pounds for you, Josh.
Give or take, yeah. And I ended up selling, or I traded that guitar back in, and I got an LTD Tele Deluxe that had an Evertune on it. That guitar was worlds better, and it was actually, even the list price was like $200 or $300 cheaper. And the only difference was that it was obviously, I mean, different body shape and a different brand, but it had EMGs instead of the Fishmans. And those EMGs sounded a hell of a lot better to me than the Fishmans did.
Yep.
Cool.
Go figure.
And the other thing is, the hardest part too is like I know Josh would be like, $1,000 or something. And it's just funny because anytime anybody in the UK says anything dollars and cents wise, I go, oh wait, so it's automatically doubled because our Canadian dollar shit, utter shit.
I think it's like 69 cents or something right now. Giggity.
Is it? Last time I checked, it was like 50 or 54. Ugh.
Okay, well, you know
That's why I don't buy nothing from the fucking UK. I see these sales on Andersons. I'm like, oh, I should get one. No, double it, not including the.
So it's actually So $1 Canadian is 54 pence.
Yeah. Bullshit. But
so literally double.
That's nothing against the lovelies over there, but it's just fucking how it is. I mean, I'd love to go to the UK for a visit. No. You want spending money, you're gonna have to double it automatically in order.
For real.
But when we talk about like the relevancy of Gibson and Fender lately, and it's not necessarily for like metal guitars or rock and roll or whatever, they don't do anything different from the fucking norm. If they were to just go ahead, give different finishes instead of these bullshit old bursts that no one gives a fuck about except for the old men who want to spend $7,000 on a fucking Les Paul. It's like, okay, you guys, and I love that the guys at fucking Long McQuaid and all these guitar shops like, yeah, but it's hand built. Okay. It's still black, it's still white, it's still fucking tobacco burst or sunburst. Give me something fun, you pricks.
And straight up, for that same amount of money, you could go to a boutique builder and get 2 instruments.
Yeah.
That are also hand-built. So take your hand-built arguments and shove it.
And it's not even just that. It's like, give us something different. Make us want to buy a fucking Gibson or a Fender. And you're not going to, like, this is, and one of the other topics that I had mentioned, like, is there a guitar by a brand that you really, really want to buy because you're like, fuck, I really want that because so-and-so hero plays it, but then you're going to, oh, well, I'd love to have a Gibson SG, but I'm not giving Gibson my fucking money. Fuck that shit. I'd buy an Epiphone, but no, because I'd have to give my money to Gibson. There seems to be a fucking recurring theme here. Like Gibson, in fact, that's why I asked the question: are they as important or relevant? And the answer is no. Because and I know Andrew had mentioned it. The only
thing Gibson and Fender do differently is sue people.
Yeah, Fender doesn't sue people because they know they lose. Fucking hello. Like, I know Ryan doesn't like these guys, and I don't necessarily like them, but this shirt's as comfy as fuck. I don't give a shit. This t-shirt's like a warm blanket, man. I'm not kidding. I'm like, oh, I love it. It fits my fat ass, and it's long, and it does what it's supposed to. The main reason why I don't pay no attention to these guys anymore is because they were dicking Dimebags estate around, turn that into a shit show, and they go, oh look, we're going to release these guitars that look eerily similar to something that someone played, but they don't have the graphics on them. I'm like, you fucking assholes, are you serious?
For real.
We don't want to milk some dead rock star from 2004's death. It's like, bitch, you're still doing it.
Yep.
You twats. The only reason why I would ever consider buying a Dean is because of fucking Rob Barris. Because he plays a caddy and a fucking explorer shape. And, well, as much as I like Kerry King to a brief point, fuck him, because that's, yeah.
If I ever had to get a Dean, it ironically would be one of the old Dime models. Just because, I mean, like, at least for me, like, Dime is, I would say, a moderate influence on my playing. He kind of helped me get some of my middle ground stuff of, like, more rhythm chops, a little bit more leads. Like, and he's great, and I do like the look of the ML. I just think that I'm not a huge fan of extreme shapes, generally speaking. I'll always be like, yeah, that looks cool, and I'll get one, and I'll hold on to it for like 6 months, and then I'll flip it for something else. Because I always end up back with either like a PRS, a Les Paul shape, or like a Strat. So
biases.
Yeah, but like, to your note of where you were saying, like, is there a guitar that you really, really want but you don't have it? Give me 1 second, because I sent you a photo of it earlier. But it's the guitar that Bill gave me. Well, loaned me, I should say. But I mean, like, I'll just show that. Give me 1 second.
While Captain Stubing is doing that, why don't you tell me yours, Josh?
I don't know. Mine probably. I know you said about an Epiphone. I mean, an SG, and the only one that you'd probably get is an Epiphone. I had a vintage SG model. It was my first ever guitar. I never really got on with it, so I sold it to a friend of mine. However, I've always thought about maybe getting an upgraded version, like the Epiphone version. That's probably one that I might not ever do, to be honest. But it'd be nice to own a guitar like that, just to sort of almost like to pay homage to the guitar that I started on.
Right.
Yeah.
In a way.
But
either that or something like I don't know, something like an Explorer or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah. Anyway, so this is I mean, it's a Chibson, but I mean, like, just the big Silverburst vibe.
Yeah.
Like it's just one of those finishes that I love them. And, like, generally speaking, I find that Les Pauls do look right on me. But my problem is that they're just usually backbreaking.
Yeah. They weigh too fucking much. Like, I think the only way you could kind of get away with having a Les Paul is those sort of thinner thin line ones that they have out.
That just doesn't look right, though.
No, it doesn't. But you know what? It's got fucking body contours.
That's true.
We can't have anything different. Just put some fat people curves in your goddamn guitars, you cocksuckers. Fucking Fender can do it. Well, with their straps, because let's put out a Telecaster and not ever change anything because we're fucking smart. I mean, yeah, that's a whole other nonsensical thing. Josh, you watched that fucking rant I did about Fender and their bullshit Fender Standard series. Jesus fucking Christ. Yeah. Here, let's basically give you a Squire Affinity, throw a fucking Fender logo on it, put a couple extra beefier upgrades to it, charge $860 Canadian for something that you could pay $250 for and be like happy with.
Yeah.
And the worst part about it is, not only you have that, like Fender standards, like, oh, here it's the new standard. No, it's not. Give me a fucking classic vibe Squire any day. That's going to cost you about $200 or $300 less, and it plays better. Or just say fucking go get a Fender Mexican Strat or Telly, and they're going to play 10 times better because things made in Mexico are better. Yeah. I don't even think Indonesia is any better. Well, maybe. Fuck, even China's putting out better fucking made shit than anything. But what do we know? We're just fucking, guys that bitch and complain about American made everything. Oh, it's maybe American made, but just so you know, you take a look at that fucking maple on there, and I guarantee it's made up here in the fucking Great White North.
Yes, sir.
Because you know what, Josh? Canadians are longer and harder. As if that didn't go down a really weird rabbit hole for a quick half a second.
I agree with them. Like, I mean, I've owned guitars that are made overseas. I've owned guitars that were made in Canada. I've owned guitars that were made in the States. And really, there's not that at this point. Actually, there's an old video that Lee Anderton was actually did where it was talking about the value on diminishing returns. Where once you hit a certain threshold, it really doesn't matter how much you're paying for the guitar. At that point, you're just paying for somebody's time, effectively. Because I mean, like, for comparison, I own a PRS SE Torero, and I own a USA-made Dusty Wearing Signature. I will happily take either of those guitars on stage or into a studio, and they're both going to sound great. Like, and they play great. They're good quality instruments. That PRS Torero is like almost 20 years old at this point.
You see that, Ryan?
I did. Yeah, they're Trump guitar made in America, right? Now they're fucking made in China because of course they are.
Because I'm just kind of doing this because I'm really not wanting to go down that rabbit hole because I might fucking blow my voice or you might see all the fucking vessels in my eyeballs just go. But we'll stay out of that for just to keep everybody's sanity and everybody's blood pressure at a normal level.
That's a whole rant in itself.
And that's another thing too that a lot of guys aren't even talking about. They just don't want to talk about it because they know it turns into a nightmare in their fucking comment sections.
Yep.
What other topics have we got in there, Josh? Because my brain's kind of gone short-circuited here now that we've been doing this for an hour and 20.
Yeah, we had a technique discussion lined up.
Let's have a look.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I think we pretty much ran the gamut.
And then guitar players.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, let's do that first. Let's do that one about technique.
Mm-hmm. So, like, I guess what I had been kind of getting at is, like, as much as people say, like, oh, it's important to be well-rounded, you almost kind of have to really question the validity of some of the techniques that are being kind of not necessarily force-fed, but at least, like, people are like, oh, you should know how to do this. Like, I feel like it's just become kind of a force-fed situation, like I say, where it's like, in order to be a good guitar player, you have to be able to do everything. And I'm like, I would rather have somebody who is focused on like maybe one or two techniques that are in their wheelhouse that are great and they're great at it than have somebody who's half-assing all these other techniques. But I mean, like, but then again, you look at somebody like fucking Tosin Abasi, and he's got like every technique known to man under his fingers, and he's coming up with stuff that you wouldn't fucking come up with on your own. So
Fucking hate that guy. Jesus Christ.
I don't hate him. I'm just jealous of the amount of talent he has. But like, it's like, people are like, oh, if you want to be a metal player, you need to know how to alternate pick. You need to know how to sweep pick, and you need to know how to, like, I don't know, harmonic minor, because fucking yin yang milkshake.
Or Ingve. Oh god.
That's what I was making fun of.
Yeah, if there's
pulled an Uncle Ben.
If there's two guitar players I could wipe off the fucking face of the planet, it is Tosin Abasi and fucking Ingve Malmsteen.
I will agree with you on Ingve.
Okay, so do me a favor, go rewatch fucking Rick Beato talking to John Petrucci, fucking Devin Townsend, and fucking Tosin. If you don't look at Tosin and listen to him go, my God, you're the most pretentious son of a bitch I've ever wanted to fucking punch in the face. You're like, if you don't think that, well, I don't know.
I mean, Tosin's he's an all right guy, but I agree with you. He's just very obsessed with music, and he's very like in the kind of the anals of it, if you will. Like,
oh, he's in anals of it, all right.
Mm-hmm. He comes. He definitely is more pretentious than some other players, but I mean, to a degree, I would even argue that Petrucci's a bit of a technique snob when you listen to a lot of his interviews.
Oh yeah.
Like, great, like, don't get me wrong, great player. And like, one of my favorite guitars that I've had is his I had a nose pick, and that's about it.
My man.
But like, I've owned some of like Petrucci's signature gear over the years. I've bought some of his pickups, I've bought some of his guitars, and like, the dude has an ear, and he's generally speaking a very nice human being to interact with, from what I've seen. But yeah, when it starts coming into music chats, like, the dude is just on a whole nother level, and it's like kind of like kind of like the old
Berkeley.
Yep.
But the one thing I think about, like, when I watch certain snippets from that interview, like, there's moments where Devin Townsend's fucking playing, and he says something that's like quirky, like a Canadian type of quirk, but he says it's still music related, and fucking John's like, what? Like, wait a minute. How are you fucking blown away by what Devin Townsend just said? Devin Townsend, for the longest time, had a fucking skullet that was better than Hulk Hogan's. Played in a fucking band and played in Strapping Young Lad. Was grunting and groaning about this, that, and the other. And now he's completely bald, completely face shaved, and literally puts out a song called Deadhead and makes everybody go. Like, how are you able to play that guitar, that tuning, these glorious fucking melodies, and hit screams the way you do? You make me sick, sir. Glad you're Canadian. Thank fuck.
Right.
And that's another thing. People are like, what do you mean he's Canadian? Look it up, motherfucker.
Yeah, he's from BC.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not just UK has everything, But I mean, and this is like, that's a guy that is so underrated. Even though everybody knows him and knows what he's capable of, he's so fucking underrated because, like, people know him, but they're like, yeah, it's Devin Townsend, who cares?
Yeah.
So I beg of people to go listen to that fucking guy.
And
holy
like,
shit.
The thing is, too, is that, like, you got to feel bad for the guy because, like, just the way the industry is now, it's like, like, Townsend is like, I'm done touring. He's like, it's just not going to happen. So,
Yeah,
like,
good.
How fucked is the industry that, like, one of its, like, and granted, yeah, I mean, in the grand scheme of things, like, Townsend's never going to be on the level of, like, the Metallicas, the Maidens, the, whatever, right? But, like, just the fact that, like, this guy who is, as you say, like, he is a wizard at songwriting, and people don't get to experience that because of, like, high cost of living, all this other stuff, like, just general musician bullshit.
Yep.
like, how much do you finally have to like kind of clue in and be like, maybe there's something going wrong with the system here. Maybe the, avocado toasts aren't the problem.
Right. And I mean, even though we kind of get excited about Devin Townsend, like, and Andrew made a fucking comment about the technicians and things, right? And that's true. I mean, technicians at the instrument is something else.
Mm-hmm.
We also, but at the end of the day, we still worship at the altar of fucking Tony Iommi when we play heavy riffs. That guy fucking barely knew what he was doing. According to what he says in his book, anyways, he's like, I don't know.
Oh yeah, his autobiography was something else to read.
I'm still fucking reading it again for the third time, and I'm just like, my God, Tony, like, did you even think, or just no? Or was the dope really that good back in the 60s and 70s to make you guys go, fuck it, it sounds good to me. And everybody goes, wow, okay. He must know how to play. He must know how to play these fucking augmented riffs. And Tony's like, what? He's like that. He's like that epic stoner that's like, you tell him something, he goes, huh? And yet he's the greatest thing to ever fucking walk on the planet.
Yeah,
writing solos for Robbie Williams, because why not?
Yeah, I think definitely, like, I agree with what Andrew was saying, where he's like, I would rather have somebody who's got more playing from the kind of shooting from the hip and kind of being more, I guess, like authentic, if you want to call it that.
Aha!
Aha! Aha! Aha! But like, I think that there are some players that find ways to balance those two schools. And that's, I think, is the goal. You want to be able to pull on people's heartstrings when you need to, but you also need to be able to serve the song. And if the song calls for something flashy, it calls for something flashy. So, like, again, another great example of that, as like we were just talking about, as much as like kind of highbrow as he is, Petrucci, the dude knows what he's playing. He knows how to serve what he's doing. It's the same thing with like, I would say my personal taste, I prefer Satriani over Vi, dear God, but
Andrew might not stick around.
But like Satriani's got some, he's a wicked player, and I think it's because he came up starting more in that kind of Hendrixy camp where it was a lot more feel and a lot more groove, as opposed to Steve, who was a little more into the technical, on like almost classical style elements of things, and he was more interested in how music as a whole worked, where Joe was just like, I like Jimi Hendrix, I want to learn how to play guitar.
Yeah.
But I mean, that being said, I saw Vi a couple summers ago when he came through to Halifax.
Yeah.
And that dude is on a whole different level. Like,
yeah.
It was a 3-hour concert, it was just him, and I sat there for just like my jaw was on the floor the entire show. I looked at my phone when I stood up, and I was like, it's 11 o'clock. I was like, we got in here at 7 o'clock. I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
And just the dude had such a command on the instrument. He has such a command on his on his technique that he knows I can do this. And the important thing is that the guitar player plays in a way that serves the song, not themselves. 100% agreed.
Yeah.
And that's all. Like, I actually learned that lesson fairly early on in my guitar playing career. When I used to play music at church, when I was living with my folks, that was just part of the stuff. Went to church. Because I got into guitar, I got into the music team. And when I got into electric guitar, of course, everything became about distortion and solos and all this other stuff, right? But I went to a music workshop with some different musicians that work in like the CCM sphere, and he said, one of the guys who said in the thing, he said, whatever you're doing needs to serve the music first and yourself second.
Yeah.
He said, you need to find ways to take what you are good at and insert it into the song in a way that's not going to detract from the overall song itself.
Yeah.
So, and when I kind of learned that, where it's like, oh, okay, I don't need to be more concerned about like, when's the solo coming or whatever. Like, when I started learning about, okay, here's how I can take like these little octave chords or like little like delay with picking parts or whatever, and like kind of fit that into what's going on around me. That's when everything kind of clicked and I was like, okay. And then that was when like all the people at church started being like, hey, you're like a completely different guitar player now. So
Yeah.
And like I know like Bill will tell me that all the time. He'll be like, you've always had like ideas and parts when we're writing and recording that serve what we're doing and they're not getting in the way of anything else that's going on.
Yeah.
So not to toot my own horn or anything, but
yeah.
So when we talk obviously underrated players, because Andrew brought something up, about Piggy from Voivod and stuff. There was that one thing where I said guitar players that you find super underrated in the style that you love or whatever. Mm-hmm. And that's something I really want to kind of bring. I want to talk about just to see where everybody's head is regarding it. So, Josh, why don't you go first? Guys that you like. It doesn't have to be any specific, like I say, any specific genre. Just kind of give us what you think, and we'll we'll give you some time to get your thoughts on certain players, and then we'll kind of chat about it, and move on to Ryan, then on to myself.
Okay. I wasn't sure how many you wanted, so I picked 3.
That works. It don't really matter.
Yeah, that's cool. So first up, I think this is going to be a bit of an obvious pick for anyone that knows me. Corey Beaulieu from Trivium, because the guy is fantastic. The guy can shred like anything. He's a proper lead player, but he, as we were saying, he always does a lead that serves the song, And I think over time he's definitely evolved into someone who can, he shows off what he can do, but it also fits the song. I think on the earlier albums, especially on the Crusade and Shogun, I think him and Matt mainly, like, their solos were like, see how fast I can shred. But nowadays on the latter albums, they do more tasteful solos. But Corey has always had that. He's always had something about his playing that has always I've always really liked. It's always intrigued me, and he does some quite innovative melodies and leads, especially on the previous couple of albums that they've done. He's I think he's a really underrated lead player, and there always seems to me like the like Guitar Hero that you get always seem to be from like the 60s, 70s, 80s. You get a couple of players from the 90s, but past that you don't. And I think, like, who would be for me in that like modern classic guitar heroes? And for me, Corey Beaulieu would definitely be one of those that I think would probably get a bit overlooked.
Yeah.
But for me, I think he's brilliant. I
agree.
Second one, yeah.
Yeah, just with we're on Corey. I'll just like that also kind of ties in with that point that I just made of like serving the song and finding parts that kind of interweave. Like Corey comes up with a lot of, like you say, very innovative kind of melodies in parts where you wouldn't necessarily expect them. Like I really liked his little kind of accent melody line in Until the World Goes Cold, like over the chorus. I thought that was a really good melody. Same thing with that little it's kind of almost more of the riff than the melody, but like that little section in the pre-chorus of Into the Mouth of Hell We March, where he's got a lot of kind of really catchy little melody stuff underneath what Matt's singing. And I thought that I agree with you that he's one of those players that doesn't get brought off nearly enough. And probably because it's just like, oh, he's just a metalcore guitarist. Like, no, dude's got range. And he's very, very criminally underrated. I mean, we talked about this when we did our Trivium ranking a few months ago.
Yeah. Yeah. And he's maybe it's recency bias because I've been listening to some Trivium again, but maybe it just reminded me how good he is again. Just listening to some of their stuff, and how underrated he is. Maybe it is because he's a newer guitarist, but I don't know. My second pick is sort of in a similar kind of vein. I've gone with John Denice, and he is probably most notably the current guitarist in Anthrax, but also he's got his own band Shadows Fall, and they're a band I've really gotten into over the last couple of years, mainly because of him and the leads that he did on that Anthrax album. What's it called? For All Kings. That one. I really liked, I liked what he brought to that album because it was a little bit different. His solo style is a little bit 80s influenced. He kind of, I think the best way, I know we had a bit of a banter about Malmsteen, but he kind of takes Malmsteen's, I don't know, his way, but also... But he adds melody with it,
Mm-hmm.
Look at Trev, completely turned off now.
Yeah, no. I agree. I think the thing with Yngwie is that Yngwie is very one-dimensional, where it's like he's very stuck in that whole neoclassical harmonic minor sweep picking, that's all the guy does. Whereas John is a lot more varied. He's got a lot more kind of broader strokes within that. Definitely you can tell he's got some Yngwie influence for sure, but he's taking it and putting his own spin on it.
Yep.
Yeah. That's pretty much what I meant. Yeah, that's what I meant. He's got that 80s style, but he kind of brings in more melody, and definitely has his own style with it. His vibrato is just absolutely insane. He can hit pinch harmonics pretty much everywhere on the scale, which not many people can, to be fair. And not many people can do it as easy as him as well.
I don't know.
Well, maybe apart from yeah.
To say there's another big burly man from the U.S. that does that quite a lot. It's a fucking
smelly Viking. Yeah.
The old everybody's favorite Viking.
Yeah. True.
But you were saying.
I always just really enjoyed his style, and whether it's in Anthrax or Shadows Fall, I think he brings something a little bit old school, but in a modern way, which I think is quite original. He's my second, and the third one, it might be an obvious pick, but I think for non-guitarists, I think for guitarists, he's probably not underrated, but for people who are not guitarists and don't understand it, he might be a little bit underrated, and that's Gary Moore. Someone I've loved his stuff ever since I was about 14, 15. Learning Still Got the Blues and Presume Walkways, and his style, I think, is very unique and something that I've definitely taken a little bit in my playing as well. The guy's bends are unbelievable. I don't think anyone could can bend a string like him.
Mhm.
And his variety and versatility, I think, definitely makes him stand out.
Yep.
He could do blues, he could do jazz, he could do rock, he could do heavy metal, he could do anything. Obviously, he stood in for Thin Lizzy a few times in his career. Had quite a friendship with Phil Lynott, and yeah, so he's one of the guitarists that influenced me a lot. And yeah, he's another one of those guitarists that I don't think gets enough praise. He's never in the top guitarists. He's never in them books that I mentioned earlier about all the guitar heroes. You hardly ever see him in there. Which is a bit of a shame. That some of the guys' guitar solos throughout his career is just absolutely insane. And yeah.
The thing with those books is they're just so over bloated. It's got the same suit wearing label people that are like, let's put Kurt Cobain far and above fucking somebody like, Steve Vai because, he changed how everybody plays guitar. Shut the fuck up. Yep. I like Kurt, don't get me wrong, but you're going to put him over Steve Vai? Why? Because Steve goes fucking widdly widdly woo and Kurt was all like fucking woe is me bullshit? Stop.
Yeah.
Nobody cares about nobody cares about what your readers want. Your readers are actual guitar players. Like, no, that's wrong. Why does Angus Young always get put in fucking like lower than low? Why is Malcolm Young almost never even a thought?
Yeah.
It's like, fuck me. You realize that AC/DC would sound like bullshit if they didn't have Malcolm. Don't get me wrong. I love that little peckerhead, but his little bit bigger peckerheaded brother was fucking 10 times the player that fucking Hang was.
Yep.
Hang was just nuts. But that being said,
yeah.
So those are great choices. Hard to argue. Corey's great. Fucking Gary Moore's a lunatic, and John is very underrated, I think. So yeah, agreed.
Yeah. So yeah, I'll kind of put two for my first one. They're kind of like I kind of consider them a tag team duo.
I did the same.
Yeah, just another metalcore band that kind of slides under the radar, kind of gets lumped into the fact that it's like, they're just metalcore. But Travis Miguel and Dan Jacobs from Trev. Very both flashy melodic players that kind of obviously very clearly pull a lot of their influence from the 80s. But they put their own kind of more modern stamp on it, and the way that they kind of trade solos and like lead lines back and forth. I like their interplay. It's very much kind of like how like a lot of the other like two guitar player bands, that also have solos kind of trade off, right? It's cool. I think they're very underrated for what they are, and that's just my opinion. But again, of course, my flavors are going to be a little bit biased. Where of course I grew up listening to that stuff, so a lot of my choices are going to be more catered to that. But yeah, they're great. A lot of like the melody lines and stuff that they have on some of their like first like probably about 5 or 6 albums are just killer. And actually, that's one of my bucket list guitars. Is I want to get the Travis Miguel signature that LTD used to have, where it's like it's a Viper, but it's got a Floyd on it. So
yeah,
that's been on my radar for ages. If I ever find one, I'll probably sell a kidney to make it happen. But that would be one of my picks. I kind of consider them like they're kind of two halves of the same whole. Kind of how like James and Kirk, or like KK and Glenn. Yep. That kind of thing, right? They're kind of two halves of the same thing. Another one that I think is really criminally underrated is Jason Hook, formerly from Five Finger Death Punch. Currently in his own band, Flat Black. And he's played with a whole pile of people. Like, he got into the industry very, very quickly. Also a Canadian, so bonus points. But yeah, he's just a very much a nice melodic kind of technician where he balances a lot of stuff. I guarantee you, I can sing a lot of the solos that he did with the Death Punch stuff, even though I don't fucking listen to Death Punch now. If you put a gun to my head, but like, he's a wicked player. He's a very nice person to deal with from like the interviews that I've seen. Very much just a big guitar nerd. Like all of us are to our own degree. But yeah, he's just wicked. My favorite solo that he ever did was on Battleborn from one of the Death Punch tunes.
Yeah.
It's this like kind of a 6/8-ish 3/4 kind of waltzy thing, and he's managing to put all these tasty licks and stuff on it. My only real complaint with him is I find that he just tries to cram too much into his solos, whereas I'd rather see him develop some of his melodic ideas a little bit more. But that's just my opinion.
Yep.
And my third one, I'm going to go with actually a local boy that Mr. Trev will know.
Yep.
Evan Frizzle from Blackmore and Turbo.
Yep.
Just, he's the absolute definition of a madman guitar player. And he also, I think he's the epitome of that fine line between technique and soul. For context, Josh, some homework for you. Go listen to the song Running with Wolves by Blackmore. The solo in that, Evan literally shit it out in one take, and there is not a note wrong with it.
Yeah.
So, just a wicked, absolute monster of a player. He basically lived on a diet of like Satriani, Vi, and then like mix in like all your metal classics like, Metallica and Pantera and blah blah blah.
Maiden.
But like Maiden, yeah, and he's just got the balance dialed right in. It's just wicked player.
Yeah.
Nice.
I mean, I could sit here and go on and on and on about this fucking shit, but I'm not going to. I will go right off the bat with an honorable mention. Anybody who knows me for more than 5 minutes knows that I'm a big fan of Cannibal Corpse's Rob Barrett. When he's in Cannibal grooves. And to me, that's where I find they're the best. The record Kill, one of the best things ever. And he's just, anything that he writes is just groovy, and he's just so underrated because everybody goes, oh, fucking Jack Owen and fucking these nerds from fucking Rivers of Nile and these nerds from X other fucking band, whatever. Mm-hmm. But when he gets right down to it, I've got a couple of guys that people know, people talk about, but I don't think they realize what their capabilities are. And one who got really shit on, and I'm going to talk about him first, is Jakey Lee.
Yes.
From Badlands and Ozzy Osbourne. There's a reason why The Ultimate Sin is one of my favorite records, because every note that man plays on that record is just absolute flawless. And when you think of the story of that record, I'm like, that's the second version of that record? Pardon? Excuse me? Well, how dare you? What do you mean? What did you have on the first version of that? I would love to see if they could dig somehow. Maybe they didn't completely delete it or scrap it and say, here's the original songs that we had. Put it out and watch everybody go, what do you mean? I mean, there are guys now that are like Ben Eller, who's guitar YouTuber, put out a thing about here's how to properly play the Bark at the Moon solo, because everybody's been playing it wrong. Mm-hmm. Jakey Lee, and I fucking hope to God that when he's at that show for the back of the beginning thing, because Oz is only supposed to do a couple tunes, and so is Sabbath. If you don't have him playing Bark at the Moon with Ozzy Osbourne, or you just fucking burn the show. Tom Morello deserves a massive punch in the fucking bag if Bark at the Moon is not one of those songs.
Mm-hmm.
Jake and Ozzy have to fucking play that song. I don't give a shit.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only thing that would make me feel good as a fucking fan of both Ozzy and fucking Jake.
Yeah.
Because Jake's been getting fucked over for years.
Absolutely.
We all know this.
Also, while I'm thinking of it, I did have an honorable mention that I forgot. I'll just throw mine in really quickly. Alexi Laiho, Children of Bodom.
Yeah.
Dude was just a master at what he did. Some of the melodies and the stuff that he did with Bodom was just next level, and I am incredibly mad that he's no longer alive.
Yeah. To answer Simon's question, no, I don't have that on CD, sir. Yeah, Alexi's was pretty great. Okay, number 2, I guess, technically. And nobody talks about this guy. Fucking ever. It is the most criminal thing I have ever heard. There's a band out of the UK. Josh probably knows who it is. He knows that I've talked about these guys as often as possible. And you probably don't know unless you know the album cover. Cathedral. I'm going to talk about my main man, Gary Jennings. Or Gaz, as most people in the lovely UK know him as Gaz. Name me another guitar player that's been a part of a more influential band to doom and just downright filthy fucking guitar playing like Gary Jennings. Fucking name me another guy, please, and I guarantee you Gary's got a beat. And all he does is just simple ass riffs. He's got not much for flair on the fucking widdly woos like everybody else you guys have talked about. And not that that's a bad thing. Gary's got just as many riffs as Tony Iommi, and no one knows it. Now, are they sort of the same? Like, do they put out like a lot of stuff like AC/DC? Yeah, they're very consistent, 100% consistent in what they do. It's pretty much the same stuff through a lot of it. But honestly, when it comes right down to fucking guitar playing and the riffs that he has that are like tuned to C standard and even fucking B on that record, fucking dude has got riffs for days. The songs are long and they're tasty and just riffs. Because that's what I like is riffs. I'm not a big Woodley fan. Not that I have anything wrong with it. Present company, because we're nerds. I like something that I can sit there and strum once and people go, whoa. Did that guy just shit himself because he hit this amazing chord? No, because no one's going to shit their pants on listening to my shit.
Yeah.
But it's just that he's just a simple, like he doesn't have any big fucking pedal boards. He's just a simple man. I'll get to the other simple man here momentarily who people fucking, yeah, anyways. So the next one is the pair. Okay? It's the pair that I tend to talk about the most. Pepper Keenan of COC and obviously of Down. COC's got a new record out, and I cannot wait. Apparently, Pepper has had the chance to get his hand on a JD guitar, that the famous man that made Tony's. You can, if you go on the Corrosion Instagram, it's all there. It's like, oh shit, you're playing that? Excuse me. All right, let's get on with this, gentleman. Pepper was in, he's a slippery player. He's riffy, but he's not riffy to the point of, say, I don't know, like, for lack of a better player, like Hetfield. Like, Hetfield's riffy. Like, he'll change his shit, as we know. Pepper's slippery. He's got this greasy, slick thing where he'll just sit there and he'll just sit in the pocket and slip out a little bit and then back in and still make it tasty enough, because he plays in D standard, which is wild to know that there is a doom stoner sludgy-ish kind of band playing that tuning. Yeah, they'll drop down into drop C every once in a bit and do a song like Vote with a Bullet. And tell me that's not a fucking bitching, crushingly heavy fucking tune. Simple as shit in drop C, which I still think is weird for a band with those guys who are as old as they are. And I mean, fucking like Pepper plays these fucking things. He plays orange amps and nothing but orange amps, and fucking anytime he plays, it's just absolutely fucking perfect. He's got a bit of a pedal board, nothing serious, just old shit pedals he's bought over the years. But nothing like my what?
I was gonna say, I know, like back in the day before I joined the band, like I know Albatross used to be a big staple in the Doom Machine set.
Why the fuck are you not playing it? Should be playing it, really.
Talk to Bill.
It's dumb
Anyway.
power chords.
Talk to
Like
Bill.
if bands would get back to playing dumb fucking power chords, I'd be happier because this fucking caveman brain in here is just not capable of, like, I listen to Archspire, my brain's like everything just goes, what? I love them. Yeah, don't get me wrong, like I love them. I think it's funny, it's great, but no. And then of course, the other guy that I think is stupidly underrated and has literally the greatest pedal board of all time, Kirk Winstein, better known as my dad from another grandparent, I guess. Fuck, I don't know. Works for me. I guess at this fucking moment, you know what I mean? Dude plays all kinds of different guitars. He's mostly plays Solar now because that's who he's with. Known for playing mostly like fucking. He's played a couple of Vipers, played a lot of Explorer shapes. And the thing is if you, and I know Josh probably doesn't have a clue what Crowbar sounds like. Maybe, I don't know, because they are slower. Right, Josh?
You gotta start getting into some Doom, buddy.
Like,
get into Doom.
Yeah, it's super fucking, it's tuned to B standard, and it's riffs. All he is riffs. I mean, yeah, he's a bit of a Kiss fan, so we'll just, we won't hold that completely against him. I don't. I mean, he does like Ace. He does like Ace Frehley. But the thing about Kirk is he plays the fucking rig that nobody wants to play because, I'm a snob and I have to have fucking high-end Marshalls, or I have to have high-end Hughes and Kettner. I have to have a Kemper. Randall RG fucking 120. Solid state amp that when he was turned on to by Dimebag. 4x12 Randall cabinets. A fucking he'll use two. Sometimes he'll use two depending on the fucking venue. You want to know what his pedal board is, Josh? It is a TC Electronics tuner, a Boss Super Chorus, and a fucking Metal Zone. That's his board. And when you listen to Crowbar, you go, how the fuck does he have that? And I said, I'm going to find out what this dickhead does with this fucking Metal Zone, because everybody makes fun of him. Oh, God, he uses the fucking Metal Zone. What a bitch. It's like, go listen to that tone and tell me that's not the fucking heaviest thing you've ever heard in your entire life. He's tuned to B standard. This is how he has it set. He takes the pedal. He turns the level to 10. The EQ, because it's stacked knobs. They have them both at 12. And the distortion, which everybody is the fucking, let's turn the distortion up. He has it at 0.
He's just basically using it like a Tube Screamer style boost.
Exactly what he's using it for. On his amp, he doesn't use much of anything for settings. He's a big presence guy. And the rest of everything else is like kind of at 2 o'clock, except like I think he said the fucking treble might be at 10. And he uses the fucking Metal Zone. And everybody goes, my God, that's the heaviest thing in the world. He must have all these high-end gain pedals. No. He's just like, fuck, I don't know. Like,
yeah. Well, I mean,
he gets so much flack.
Yeah. My first real amplifier that I bought with my own money was a Randall RG75.
Yeah.
And like, they're stupidly good amps for what they are.
Oh, fucking work for Dimebag. And we think he's and there's a lot of people that think he's the greatest thing that's ever walked on the fucking face of the planet.
Yeah. I mean, you and I had that conversation where I said, like, arguably beyond like some of the original like 60s, 70s guys, Dimebag was the first real major guitar innovator beyond, like, I don't know, like Iommi, really.
Yeah.
Or like maybe like Eddie Van Halen or something, but I mean, like, that's a whole nother ball game talking about Ed. But
and like with him, like you imagine he goes and hides in his bedroom for 3 months in the summertime, comes out and he's just ripping fucking shit left and right.
well, I mean,
People are like, how the hell is this guy doing this after 3 months? It's like, because that's all he did every day.
Yeah.
But some of the biggest reasons why I will sit there and go on and on and on about Kirk is simply because he's not really tuned as low as others. He uses 13 to 56 strings on a 24 and 3/4 inch scale. I mean, I think on his solars he's got a little more, but whatever. He uses 60 mil picks. He uses solid state amps, which every tone snob out there will fucking get a tube amp. Kirk used fucking orange at one point, and he's like, I've been using Randalls for so long. That's all I'm going to use in crowbar. Now in down, he just started playing with this new amp company called Sonic Drive, I think it is. And I'm kind of jealous because they're all purple. Because Ryan knows how much I'm completely obsessed with purple anything.
Guilty.
I don't know why. I don't know when I decided to tap into my lavender phase, but I guess it's what happens when you're old.
I mean, to be fair, purple's been my favorite color for as long as I can remember. So
I mean, mind you, the other big thing is like, as I always joke to the wife, I'm like, well, honey, it's your favorite color. I figure if I get a purple guitar, it might make you, might make you more susceptible. Yeah, fuck, go buy. Who cares how much it costs? Wrong.
Yeah.
Jokes aside, that's one of the main reasons why I absolutely think fucking Windstein is one of the most underrated. Simply because he uses a joke pedal board, which he loves, and I think it's fucking hilarious. And he's not even using the super chorus as a fucking normal thing either. He just uses it as like a fucking stereo mono thing.
Oh, okay.
What do you do? Like, why do you do the things that you do? Fucking, I'm from New Orleans. I mean, the weirdest dude when it comes to fucking guitars, and yet he makes everybody look stupid when he starts playing like Walk with Knowledge Wisely or fucking Planets Collide. He sounds so fucking miserable when he's singing, so miserable when he plays. But people will stop dead in their tracks. They go, yeah, I really need to listen to this band. Like you, Josh, you really should listen to that band. I know they're slow. And I know I'm slow, but you tolerate my nonsense. Why? I don't know. You know what I mean? Tapping your caveman, son.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Now, when it comes right down to other guys,
Johnny Mac.
there is another duo that I know the three of us will probably wholeheartedly agree. And I know there's not everybody that's older than me's favorite. Ryan and I have talked about this. Josh, I'm pretty sure you're a fan of these guys. Jim Root and Mick Thompson.
You're goddamn right.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah.
I think the one thing I love about Jim is that he's tapped into his old man. Fuck, I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Do you know what I mean? I don't know. Do you know what I mean? Like, he's tapped into this fucking old man. I'm just going to play dad rock guitars for the rest of since day one to the end of my days. And he's becoming a little bit of a nerd. And he's he's like 6'12" or some shit. Taller than everybody. But he loves his gear so much. He's such a nerd. And he's just happy.
Yep.
Like, he quit drinking and he became everybody's like best friend.
Yeah.
And then you got Mick, who literally looks more terrifying now that he's lost weight. And
oh my god,
gear.
yes.
He looks more terrifying than he did before. But when he opens his fucking mouth, like, holy fucking shit.
Man, fucking the new Mick Thompson ESP, that thing looks mean.
Yeah. And he's a nerd. Like, when he talks about guitars, I'm like, okay, shh, everybody else keep it quiet. Shh. Mick's talking now. Oh, hi Jim, hi. Bring me some coffee back. Well, yeah, I need to listen to what fucking Mick's talking about.
Yep.
Yeah. And
but I
Zach
was
even
considering them.
so Zach just brought up a comment, Colvin Z. He's like, you've accused what did he say? Yeah, you've accused me of being Mick Thompson, Trevor. Yeah, I have, because you look like him, you big bastard. I mean, literally when I stand beside Zach, it's like he's just completely fucking head over. He's just like, because I remember the fucking day he walked into audition. I was pretty much going to give him the gig anyways. For Age of Sin, I'm like, look at this Jim or this Mick Thompson looking motherfucker. And he just kind of looked at me and he laughed. He said, well, I was expecting that. But when you look at him, he's got that hulking figure like Mick, but he's an absolute teddy bear. Like Zach is one of my favorite people, right? And Mick, Mick swears a lot, so do I. But Mick is a nerd. He's an absolute nerd, and he's one of the smartest and most interesting spoken dudes. I think when I listen to him, I'm like, I can listen to you all day. You know what I mean? And it's the same with Zach. I can listen to Zach fucking talk my ear off for fucking 4 hours. Hell of a lot more than me talking his ear off. Jesus. Fuck, wouldn't that be fun? Fucking boys, you imagine being annoyed by me fucking for the 2 hours and 5 minutes and 48 seconds we've been going on for? Fuck, you know. You imagine being fucking attached to me for 15 years like the wife. Fuck, I'm tired of my kid and she's me. You know what I mean? Fucking hell.
And this is why I don't have kids.
Well, I mean, if the thing about having kids is that if they're exactly like you go, how much of an asshole was I? So you go back to that part of your brain where everything is stored and you go, fuck. But yeah, she's just adorable as shit. I mean, yeah, anyways. Without going too far off the beaten path.
Yeah. Oh, fuck.
So since we've already pretty much tapped on all the topics, why don't we just kind of mention amps for a little bit before we depart this fine evening, because I'm sure Josh is getting close to his bedtime. I'm actually probably overdue my bedtime.
I'll just go to sleep here. That's fine.
Yeah. I need to go. I definitely need some food. I haven't eaten. I mean, it's supper time here in the East Coast.
Yeah. I mean, we could talk about amps, or we could just kind of wait and save that for the next go around, because I think we could probably do this a little more. Build it up.
Right.
We want to make a go of this for not obviously not a full-time thing, but
Could do. Or we could just do have a massive segment on amps, rather than just a chat here. Could do.
Works for me.
I mean, really, amps is like a whole topic unto itself. So
yeah, let's do that.
Yeah,
let's do that. And then maybe what we can do too on like another sort of episode, because I'm pretty sure we're all good to go. Ryan's starving to death. His hulking 6'5" fucking frames fading away to nothing.
Hey, I woke up at 10 o'clock and I haven't eaten yet, so I mean I'm overdue.
Muffin, fuck, bitch! I've been up since 4 o'clock this morning. Then I had to go to work for 4 hours. Not that that's a big thing, but still, I'm old.
Stop being old, Trevor. God.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, I get 10 years on you.
Yep. 10 years to the day, exactly.
Yeah. Which is the thing we'll never not bring up because, So, yeah, I mean, that's a good idea. Maybe we'll just kind of talk about amps and kind of what we use and all that sort of shit.
Sounds like a plan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah. Also.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that was fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll definitely do that. Yeah, we'll definitely do this again. I'm glad I got Mick's signature blackouts before. Right. Yeah. That's one thing that I was pretty excited about when Zach told me about that before he switched to Shipman's. What are you gonna do? It's Jim. What are you gonna do? It's Mick Thompson. When you just say, "Oh yeah, they suck," probably wrap his fucking ESP around your head.
Probably.
Or just make fun of us. It depends.
Probably both.
Well, gents, I think that was lovely. Maybe
Yeah.
in about a month or whatever, or unless there's something so insane that pops up, we can just kind of talk about, whatever.
Yeah.
It would have
Can
to
do,
be,
yeah.
it would have to be pretty major, I think, though.
I don't know, like Gibson deciding to call bankruptcy and then go under fully.
Fuck me.
Yeah.
Can you imagine? Oh my God, that'll be our most highest viewed anything. Jesus. I'm gonna post on my Instagram and all my fucking things. Oh, look, Gibson decides to shit the bed. Fatty has a fucking field day with it. Ooh, Lord. But
Pretty much.
yeah. Anywho, thanks for stopping by. Anybody who's still in there watching, maybe there's only 4 of them. I really don't know because I don't have access to my computer.
It's 5.
Fucking man.
There's actually 5 people watching. That's
Oh, look at us.
good.
Yes. Someone
go.
wants to put up with
Yeah.
my annoying voice.
Woo!
Awesome. Thanks. Hey, Mickey, you're going to have to rewatch
Mickey.
this, you silly goose.
Literally just about to finish.
I'm late to the party, yeah. Yeah, dude,
Late
you
to
missed the party entirely.
Literally just about to finish. Yeah.
2 hours, 10 minutes in. Hello,
So
Dad.
late.
Fuck you leaving.
Oh, fuck.
Fuck you know. Yeah, so we'll get together, but maybe
That's fine.
towards the end of June or something, and
Yeah.
figures that obviously once Ryan gets his schedule, we'll go from there because
Yeah.
Yeah.
I get that on Monday, actually, so should be able to figure something out.
Sweet.
Yes.
Alrighty, we'll see us all later.
Wow.
Yeah. Thanks for watching, everybody.